Hi, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Trying to wake up here from a long nap and talk to you about pursuing Filipina in 2025. Just before I came on here, I was looking at some Facebook post about um, what it's like in Davao or places to go in Davao City, where I met and married my wife, and almost got misty eyed looking at these places that didn't look like we'd been to any of them. But when you go to the Philippines and you see things for the very first time, and you're going with your wife and her family, or your girlfriend, I guess, fiance and your family, and we're going to all these different places, it brings back a lot of memories. Sometimes we went a second time. There's certain places in Davao we went multiple times, and I've been there 5 times. It's been a while since I've been in the Philippines with my wife, maybe 2 years. It seems like I saw that we were there in like 23, but it sure doesn't seem like it to me. But I assume that we were. It's a long 4 flights there and 4 flights back, but I did it. Why would I do something like that? That was to find someone to marry. So the reason I have this channel that has been in existence since Valentine's Day 2018, so coming up on 7 years, is because I wanted to talk about the relationship aspect of being with a Filipino. That's what interests me. I've got should be hitting 1,900 videos by now over here on YouTube. I'm also on TikTok and Rumble and Twitter, to name some of the main ones, to try to find the channel, because I think there aren't many channels that talk about the relationship aspect of a woman from the Philippines. A lot of it is just the assumption that everything will go fine, and kind of like as a last resort in the West, your country, you can go find a Filipina in the Philippines to marry and end all your problems. And there's so many to choose from, and it's easy to find someone. That's, a lot of people still think that, but it's not that easy to do. I had been single for a long, long time. I didn't get married until I was 53, so it's not like I'd been divorced and had gone a long time before getting married. I just had not been married until 2015. And you can see my affiliate link there in the top for Christian Filipina. That's where I eventually found my wife. And those days are quite exciting. I took the dive. That was in 15, so I'd have to have a different rhyme. And I had just gotten to the point, as it starts to come back to me now, that I just didn't think I had a chance to get married. I was 53. I felt like I've been looking for 100 years, and that it was just hopeless. That's what I thought. Just hopeless. So I saw earlier, I had seen an article of a man that went to the Philippines, somewhat different circumstances, but he was talking about his experience there, finding a girlfriend. And then not too long after that, my pastor had sent me the same video, because maybe it was an article, might have been an article, because he knew I was wanting to get married very badly and not been able to find somebody. So he shared that with me, and I saw that article and remembered that I had seen it before. And so at that point, I thought, what have I got to lose? Did I want to go 9,800 flight miles to the to another country? I didn't even know where it was. I had heard that they had good wife potential there, but it was like, well, that's far away. But once I I set my face to going to the Philippines, it all worked pretty quickly. First of all, I had to find somebody to go after, and being used to dating sites here in America, I wasn't very optimistic that I was going to be successful. I'd been on Plenty of Fish. I think that was the last one. Might have been free. Most of them are free. eHarmony was out at the time. Christian Mingle, and there's one more I usually forget. I think it was Match.com. Yeah, and a couple of those I did two times, just assuming. Well, of course, I'm going to marry somebody from here, meaning my state, although really I had in mind my city. And surely this is where these women are, excuse me, to be able to contact. So this should be pretty easy, right? And so just make a profile and start talking to people and sending messages. And I realized after a while there weren't going to be messages except for fake messages. And so I tried it all again, and then it grew extremely discouraged. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, why would this international dating site be any different? And, I was so eager, I almost said desperate. And there is a sense of desperation when you've waited so long, but I wasn't going about it negatively or expecting it to fail or turning my thinking cap and take my thinking cap off. I just said, okay, this is brand new. It's way out there. I'm going to try this. So I said, okay. I told my pastor probably, okay, Philippines it is, and I actually knew somebody at that time back in the early '90s, I think, that had married a Filipina. They're still married today. And yes, she came from the Philippines. This is the time when they met before the internet, and maybe they started meeting in the late '80s. I don't know, but there was a while where they were getting to know each other through regular mail, post office, and it took like a month to get the letters there and back, and I think he picked her out of some kind, or met her, I should say, at some kind of a photo album type of thing, and they're still married today. They've got 3 kids. Their kids are probably grown, and last I heard, they were wanting to retire in the Philippines after what had to be 25 to 30 years of marriage. So that worked out for them. So yeah, that was a good example. And finally, I thought, okay, well, if he can do it, I'll try it. I didn't even, he told me he didn't even want to get married, but he got married anyway. And remember, his brother was looking for a woman from the Philippines also. So we've met them several times. And so I joined Christian Filipino. Before that, I had to decide who am I going to start with. So I remember doing a Google search for my apartment that we used to live in. It's not very far from here. And I think I probably put in um, Christian Filipinas or Christian Philippines dating sites. And right away, you get Christian Filipina. And then, and there was another one, a competitor, like the first two. So I thought, well, this is Christian Filipina. Looked around a little bit and thought, okay, great. I think I'll call them and talk to them. It was at night, and I talked to them, and they were kind of going through the process with me. Now, I thought I would be, if I could find somebody, identify somebody, I would be getting on the plane, getting a wedding ring like this one, and going to the Philippines, getting married, have a honeymoon in the Philippines, taking her luggage, getting it on the plane, and then coming back as a married man. This was back in late April of 2015. And the lady on Christian Filipina said, well, you have to go through immigration. She has to get a visa. Because I'd never thought about anything like this before. So my mindset was, okay, get a visa and let's go. And oh no, it can take a long time, sir. And like, how long are you talking about? And at that time, this was 10 years ago, she said, well, it could be a year, year and a half. And at that point, my heart sank, and I thought, you know what? I said, I've been waiting for 30 years, and if you're telling me that even if I found somebody, I'd have to wait for another year and a half or so, I didn't know if that was worth it. So I remember telling her, okay, I'm going to go sleep on this and decide in the morning. So I think this was a Friday night when this happened. And she tried to convince me by saying, but if you knew you could find somebody, wouldn't it be worth the wait, knowing that you have found somebody and you just have to wait longer to get married? So I told her, yeah, I understand that has some value, but I've also waited a long time. And but then I also came back and told myself, well, this is the last opportunity, I think. They some speak English in the Philippines, and so I hadn't contacted anybody yet. So I said, okay, I'll go to bed and think about this. And I did want to pay for the most expensive website because it was like a lifetime membership, which I think technically was like 25 years. So I picked that. Why so long when I got married so fast? Because I was still comparing it to United States dating sites, and it was going to take a long time to find anybody, kind of like a needle in a haystack. So I even signed up for a special add-on where for an extra like $200, they would put I don't know if they do this anymore, but at that time they would, make sure that my profile showed up on the first page. When Filipinas opened up their profile, mine would be in the first page. So I tested this from work, and sure enough, there it was. And so I ended up signing up on like 13th of March. I'm not going to go back to a calendar that far, but it seemed like it was a Saturday morning when I got my credit card and called them up and said, okay, let's do this. And so I paid them the money. It was quite a bit, probably more then than it is now. And so I got into the website. At that time, I didn't even have a webcam like I have now. So, because I had never thought about this. So I started looking at the website and the features, and right away, well, I didn't even have a profile. And I probably had, maybe I did have a profile. It didn't take long to get a profile, but I saw that there was a lot of women in there, and I liked that it showed their pictures like, I don't know, maybe 20 on a page, 25 on a page, and then show you important things, like willing to relocate, where they live, um, their height and weight. Do you want to have children? College for them? Really good stuff. I thought right away this was better than Match.com, eHarmony, Plenty of Fish, Christian Mingle. So I made a profile, and I knew nothing about this, but I had one photo. I actually think I came over to my mom's house here, which is where we actually live now. Went on the deck because it was a nice day. I was in shorts and a gym shirt, and took a picture. That was the only one I had. I didn't really want to mess with putting more on there because I wasn't used to using any kind of technology like that. So that's the only picture I had. But the profile I wrote, which my wife said is so long, which I didn't think was, I put pertinent information. I was telling myself, okay, if this is going to be my last chance, and I remember a guy telling me one time that he said, well, I'm married, but if I'm going to do a dating site like you're considering, I would just put out exactly what I'm looking for. Exactly what I'm looking for. No nonsense, no monkey business. So I did that. It was still lengthy. I don't remember why, but I went to a little bit of the past. I just want to make sure they knew where I was coming from, that, I hadn't been let out of prison, and that's why I'd been alone for so long. I guess I didn't mind saying that. Um, the point for them to see that was that I was looking for someone in particular, because if I had no standards, I could have married somebody easily, a lot quicker. So I said, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone specific, and here's what I'm like. Take it or leave it. This is what I'm like. This is the type of woman I'm looking for, this type of marriage I would like to lead. And if you're interested, please contact me. And thank you for that thumbs up. So I did that, and we got it all ready to go. And then next thing you know, I get a flood of chat requests. And they had a button there where you could click on politely decline, or I'll get back. I can try to get back to you later, something, whatever it was. It was a nice thing to say, because if somebody contacts me, I feel like I should chat with every one of them. But there were so many, I couldn't keep up. And besides, I wanted to get out a yellow pad of paper like this, and write down names and numbers, membership numbers of these women, because I wanted to be able to compare them. And I figured there's going to be so many of them, I needed to take some notes. Yeah, here it is. This is from 10 years ago. I can't show you the names, but I have one, two, three. There's my wife, four, five other women, and their names that I got. And these were my finalists. One, two, three, four, five, six names. And so I still have those names for some reason, probably because I'm sentimental and I like to look back on things and remember. So my wife is on there in the middle. And so I started working up the nerve to actually do a webcam. And one day at work, remember this is March 13th when I signed up, March 13th, 2015. And one day at work, and it was first break, so 9, 10 o'clock over here in the Midwest, United States. And because I saw my wife, she was just a profile at the time, didn't even have a profile, actually. She just had a photo, and the photo was like hot off the press, just a little photo, and I saw her name and I saw her picture. And for some reason, I thought, you know what? I'm going to contact her. She may have been the very first one. And so she didn't have a profile. So usually I don't do things like that because, like I said, I'm looking for somebody in some particular qualities. And so I didn't know, but we're going to find out. So I introduced myself, said I'm at break at work, so on and so forth. I got to go back up. I'd be glad to contact you at my lunch. And then she informed me it would be about 2 in the morning over there, and she wasn't feeling well. She had a cold, but she would stay up and talk to me. So, without even having a profile, she has already indicated to me a willingness to give me a chance. 2 o'clock in the morning, and she had a job, by the way, and she would talk to me, and I told her, well, no, if you're not feeling well, I didn't know the time zone. Don't worry about it. Just go to bed, and I'm going to contact you later. And we picked a day, and we set up our first video cam. Matt Chappelle met my girlfriend on DIA, which would be Date in Asia. See, I still remember those things. The site is iffy these days, and you lucked out. Well, Matt, you say you lucked out, but in a way you really didn't, because you were focused on a country, a type of woman, a singular website, and you may have, kicked the tires on other websites. I don't know, dating sites, but that's where you went. And I've heard a lot of people mention that one, Date in Asia, and then what's the other one? Cherry Blossoms. And I'm glad you met your girlfriend there. Maybe one day she'll become your fiance. Maybe one day you'll become married to her. So I met mine. I guess you could say officially. I met her by a quick, hi, hello. I like your picture. You're cute. The standard stuff. Because you didn't even have a profile for me to comment on, and that was kind of out of character for me. But we set up a chat for I want to say the 17th of March, and so in the evening, my evening in America, her morning over there, and she was 5 minutes early. Again, here we go. I haven't even had an important conversation with her yet. And in two ways, I picked up that this person might have potential, might have potential. She was willing to stay up late, and I didn't put her through that. And then she was 5 minutes early for our chat, our first chat. And I think this was all on texting. I don't know that I had a webcam yet. So right after that, I did get one. And so she's 5 minutes early. And so we're typing. And so it's like, okay, well, this is going well. Excuse me, I need to get a webcam. And so I probably went to Best Buy later and got a webcam and somehow made, was able to get it set up and working. And so we talked later, and I still have that screenshot of our very first conversation, partly because I'm sentimental, partly because it's also a great thing to include in your visa petition, fiance visa, spousal, visa. You have to show that you have legitimate relationship. And so here it showed in print our conversations, our very first conversations. It showed the date, and that's all. That's all good information. You only need about 8 to 10 pages of pertinent information. Don't waste your time with pages that don't have any valuable information on it. Make sure it's important to show proof of the relationship. So I told her, I just been on the dating site like 5 days. So I'm very innocent here, saying, well, because she wanted to focus on each other, just her and me. And you would think that after all these years alone, I would say, wow, that's fantastic. I'm going to jump at that opportunity. But I wasn't expecting her to say anything like that. So I said very innocently, well, yeah, I just signed up 5 days ago, and I'd like to contact a few other Filipinas. And that's not necessarily saying anything wrong, but I can tell you this: it's one of the first things I learned about Filipinas. They don't like you speaking with other women. To them, it seems if you're talking to me through some kind of a chat or webcam, that you must be serious about me and I want to have a relationship, and it's not going to happen if you're dating other, talking to other women. So I told her, well, yeah, that sounds great, but I just signed up. And she said, well, you can go ahead and chat with other women if you want, but you won't be chatting with me. So there's the third sign, and we barely had a chance to talk. She's willing to stay up late on the first day I contacted her. I told her she didn't have to. Then she's 5 minutes early for our first, text. And then she says, well, you can chat with other women, but it won't be with me, because she's serious about, she didn't want any people playing games. Maybe she's had that in her life. And so she now is saying, okay, I want someone serious. And I'm very serious about this. And if you're going to talk to others, that's your right, that's your privilege, but I'm not going to be here. And so I said, okay, well, hold on here now. Let me think about that. Um, I guess so, Matt. 27. So back in 2015, I was 53 and she was 26. So I think she's had 10 or 11 birthdays. I have to use my fingers to count up since we got married. You just can't believe that. So 27 years. And remember my pastor saying, that's kind of a big age gap. He'd prefer to be personally closer to like 20 years. And I'm sure he doesn't know about age gaps in the Philippines and foreigners how, and very typically, or I shouldn't say typically, but often you have older age gaps. Not everybody wants that. Um, so he said, well, I'm just telling you. So he said, I want to help you get married too. So yeah, that was our age gap. And as I'm just talking about this in my mind, I'm seeing right now photos that I saw that I first saw from her that she sent me, and conversations I had with my pastor, and it all comes back. What a time, you know. If you decide to take the dive in 25 and look for a woman from another country, it's probably going to be the most exciting time of your life, um, unless you've been into skydiving and stuff like that. Um, Something in my mouth here, besides my tongue. So it was very exciting. I said, okay, I'll just focus on you. And so I called some people on this list right here that I showed you. And I said, I met this woman named Isa, and she wants to just be exclusive with us so we can see if we're going to be right for each other and be serious about each other. And they all understood. Do you think that would happen in America? Where you politely called up another person that you've had at least a little bit of communication with and said, Mary, you know, contacted me, and we're kind of been getting along here and in a short time, and I'm going to focus on her. Probably they would not be very happy or handle it as classy as these women did. They were all fine. In fact, my number two, who I called first to tell her, said, well, I'm happy for you. I hope you get married. But if you don't, you know where to find me, or something like that. Now, she seemed so nice. I hope that she was able to be contacted by someone and is married by now. I called them all up, which is like four or five others, and said, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm not ghosting you. I'm just being honest. I'm going to focus on this woman here. And so they all appreciated that I told them. And so from that point on, it went pretty fast. So this is like March 17th. I met her on the 13th, first chat on the 17th of March. And then on the 18th day, which would be April 4th, Saturday morning, I think it was. I wasn't working, so it must have been Saturday morning. It could have been a Sunday. Um, I went and I asked her if I, or would you, what did I say? I asked her basically if she would marry me. Um, Maybe I said, if I asked you to marry me, would you? And she said, yes, if you come and see me. Probably because there's also a fiance visa. But you know what? Even for a fiance visa, you have had to have met in person. So I don't know. Maybe she was just, again, testing me in a way to make sure that I'm not just saying things for the sake of saying things, that I really was going to meet her. So I said, okay, yes, I will do that. This is April 4th. And I went and I got the ring, and told my pastor, emailed him, said, oh, I'm engaged. I got the ring on April 4th. I think it was that day. Hung up the phone after a marathon, not phone, webcamming, and got the ring, and made a point, started finding out, what do I do now? Okay, what do I do now? So I hired an agent. I know my wife wanted to do it real bad, but I wanted it to be done by a professional, no mistakes, no excuses, somebody I could hold accountable. And so I found an agent. He did an incredible job. And he said, well, you got to go to the embassy in Manila. I said, well, she's in Davao. Well, the embassy's in Manila. So you got to go to Manila. So she met me in Manila. Sounds like a good name for a movie. Met me in Manila, or meet you in Manila. So yeah, somebody will steal that and use that for their channel name, probably. Maybe I should have. Um, so she met me there, and I get lost easily. Again, never been in another country. So I got in there, paid $50 to swear that I was not married because I could not produce a death certificate. I could not produce a divorce certificate because I had never been married. So we got that, met her, one of her sisters, while we were there. As those visions rush through my mind right now. And, you know, I just thought, man, it's like risking your life going through Manila, going through the streets. My wife was holding my hand, fiance at the time, waiting for a chance to dart through a gap in the street to get the other side and get on a bus. Or we went on several different type of vehicles to get to her sister's house. I thought, when are we ever going to get there? Where does this woman live? And so we got to her sister's house. And I had told my wife before we left, maybe she asked me, when are you going to propose for sure? Maybe I told her, eventually I'm going to propose to you to make it official, but I just didn't know how. I didn't know when. And again, I'd never been married before, never thought of that. So we go to, it's a city, I guess I'd call it a suburb. I don't know if they use that in overseas, of Manila. And my back was killing me after a very long, like I said, 4 flights there. It was about 28, 30 hours. And my back was bothering me. And so it was just her sister and a daughter, I think. And so she said, here, you can have my bed and lie down. And my wife got some kind of ointment, lotion, and she was rubbing it on my back. And of course, I really appreciated that. And then it dawned on me, this is as good a time as any. So after she was done, um, I got up and I got down on one knee and I asked her to marry me. What a relief. I'm worried, like, are we going to get to the point and I forget or I never do think of a way to propose? Because I didn't want to, be wishy-washy about it. I wanted to mean something. So I told her, what you just did for me is is a sign of the type of person I'm looking to marry. Somebody that's cared about my back. So after that massage, trying to make me comfortable there, I proposed to her. And she accepted. And then, of course, we told her sister who was there. And then we went a few blocks away to the house of an aunt. Big, 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 massive house. I mean, massive, with all kinds of stuff in it. And she made us something to eat. And other than the sister, she was the next person we told that we were engaged. And then we were going to go back to Davao and visit the family, and which I had never seen before. And I probably have videos of that on, nothing elaborate, but I probably have videos of that on my channel here on YouTube in the Just Us playlist. I know I got many videos of us driving around, and some of them I think were from the very first time. So we're in the Philippines, and we're going to get married on May 10th, which was 54 days after that, meeting her online on like the 13th of March, and less than 8 weeks. And so we got married, we got married. We couldn't practice because somebody else went long or something happened. So I'm wearing this ring. I don't know if you can tell, it's on the wrong hand, so to speak. It's on my right hand because when we got married, I'm kind of in a fog, like, wow, I'm going to get married. Is this really happening? And so, I'm thinking they changed the order. We're supposed to walk in last. And they said, okay, sir, you and your wife can go in first. And so I'm thinking, great, I'm going to walk up there and I'm going to turn the wrong direction, or my foot's going to get caught, wearing shoes I don't usually wear, dress shoes, and trip and fall. And, I got all these worries. So that didn't happen. We go up there, and I do have videos of that, parts from the wedding, in YouTube. In fact, I have a DVD here. and I had it redone so that it would last of the wedding or most of it. Very special times for me because I took the dive back in 2015, even though that doesn't rhyme. Take the dive in 25. I'm just encouraging you to do that and able to answer some questions if you like. We can talk about anything. I'm very transparent. I'm not very, you know, shy to talk about anything because it's important. If you're being serious, then that's an important question. I want to answer it. So we did get married, and it was raining cats and dogs, and we went to a condo we were staying at. I think we could have stayed at the resort, but um, I, for some reason, I guess I wanted to go to the condo, and then we went to Eden Nature Park for a honeymoon and wedding. We had a lot of people there, probably 100 or more people, uh, neighbors, family, friends, anybody. Chance to eat some good food. So what an experience, I'll tell you. And it seemed like it took 2 weeks to get there. It's only about 30 hours or so. But coming back, you save 2 hours. Yeah. And you actually leave early in the morning. You get back the same day in the evening because of the time zone thing. And I I was sharing with this lady sitting next to me on the plane, showing pictures, and I was on cloud nine. I'd never been on cloud nine before, not for something like this. And it's just a surreal experience when you have to go way, way outside of your comfort zone and go to the Philippines to get married. It's something I really hadn't thought about, and yet I did it in less than 8 weeks. We got married from winking at her. Winking is a feature on the website. When her picture just popped up without a profile, to less than 8 weeks later, we're married. You know, and I'm already beginning to support her and provide for her and make plans for coming up here to Nebraska in the United States of America. And she got here about 8 months later. It could have been 6.5 months. Visas were going faster back then. It was about 6.5 months, but we made it 8 because she had a sister getting married like January 10th. And I think she got approved on like December the 6th. They asked her a couple questions at the embassy. She got approved, and there was a little delay with her passport or something. But anyway, she got here. She went to the wedding on the January 10th and left the next day and arrived here on a snowy Saturday, maybe Monday. I don't know. Here where we are, and I remember like yesterday, her meeting her afterwards at the carousel. I was watching for her. Wasn't a huge plane, but I didn't see her get off the plane, and so I thought, huh, did I miss out here? But no, she was there getting her. Quickly got her luggage and gave her a hug, and she wanted to go meet my mother, which we did. I do have a video of that on YouTube in the Just Us playlist. It was a Monday because we told my mother we were gonna pick her up on a Wednesday and let her meet Isa. But we fooled her, and we intentionally didn't pick her up, have her come here on a Monday, and then just kind of drop in, surprise. So that was great, and now we actually live in that house that was in the video, which has been a good change for me. There've been a lot of changes. I have a dog now. I don't know where she is. Could be under my feet for all I know. Nope. So life has changed a lot for me. And again, that was 10 years ago. We're still married. May 10th will be our 10-year anniversary. And that's what, 3 months away, 3.5 months away. So hard to believe. It really is hard to believe. But this reminds me of another video I've done called Is Time on your side. Question to ask yourself, is time on my side? Is it really? You know, time waits for no one. It's one of the equalities of life. We all have the same amount of time, and it waits for no one. And if you want to get married, you only have so much time because you're getting older. So maybe 2025 is the time to take that dive and look into the Philippines. And okay, hold on. Sky got shut inside something. Hold on. Oh, there you are. What are you doing? What are you doing, baby? Come here, girl. Come here. Oh, here's my baby. Oh, oh, my baby. Here you are. See, there's the camera, Sky. Show them your beautiful face. Thanks for the kisses, Sky. You're so precious. So, Sky is our big baby here. We do everything together, sleep together, walk together, rest together, eat together, play together. So, what a big baby. So, anyway, Sky, here, hon. Come on down. There you go. So, yeah, we got married back then, and um, 10 years, and right away when I started this channel, people are telling me, just wait till she gets that green card, buddy. She's gone. Well, she got her green card, and they said, well, just wait till she gets her citizenship. Well, my wife didn't even want to be a citizen because she didn't want to surrender, relinquish, I think is the term, her Philippine citizenship, which you have to do here in America. You got to give up, renounce, that's the word, renounce your Philippine citizenship. And she didn't like the sound of that, so she didn't want to become a citizen. And then eventually she said, yes, I want to become a citizen. So she became a citizen, passed the test, answered all the questions right. It's only like 10 questions. And then we went to Chicago later and got her citizenship from the Philippines reinstated. So now 10 years later, she's got green card citizenship. We're still married. And then people said, well, you better not let her work, pal. If she works, she becomes independent, can live without you. She's going to lose her. You made a big mistake. Well, my wife wanted to work. And since we weren't able to have a baby, we've tried a lot for that. So she was working, and I supported her, and I discovered my wife's very, very skilled, more skilled than she thought she was. Um, we all have rough edges, but she is a leader. She is very responsible. And like she says, nobody is going to outwork her. And she quickly has moved up in the workforce. Now, this is her 9th year of setting foot in America, and she's already on her second supervisor job. She makes more money than I ever made. I was never a supervisor, you know, supervisor of a place that made like $21.5 billion in sales. So it's a huge company. She's doing fantastic with that, saving lots of money for the future since she would like to retire between 50 and 55. And it looks like, on paper that she could, if she can stuff away enough money into her 401k, and if it can get the match, and if it grows at a certain percentage, and what I would have to leave her, yeah, she would like to do that. So she works really hard, and so she's still here with me. She knows she doesn't need me for financial assistance. She's got different work skills than I had, ones that help you make more money. So that has been good for us. I didn't know that, and she didn't know that she could advance where she is. But I knew she could because I could tell. I worked for 40 years at the same place, manufacturing place. So I know what leads look like. I know what good supervisors look like. I know what good managers look like. And I know what it takes to succeed there, and she has the hunger. Um, she'll learn anything. In fact, she just learned Spanish in the last 12 months. Now she's fluent in Spanish. Um, didn't know Spanish before, but now she's fluent. And a lot of the people at this uh, place that she works speak Spanish, half English, half Spanish, and she can communicate to them with them in both languages, and of course Filipino, if it's the right dialect, I guess she can communicate with them, and that's very profitable in the United States if you can speak Spanish and English. So she's a fast learner, very smart. Um, Went to try to get an associate degree here, one class short. Um, Big scheduling conflict. I hope she can go back and finish that, but just a big scheduling conflict. But she's so close to that. So we're still married. I made a good choice. Remember, I winked at her back on March 13th, 2015. Hadn't even seen her profile. Got together, chatted with her, proposed 18 days later, April 4th, 54 days after I met her. May 10th, we got married. Now, 10 years later, my life has changed. And yes, Matt, it's a 27-year age gap. So you can do the math. I was 53, she was 26. It was 10 years ago. And we bought this house. I lived in apartments all my life. And she's saying, why have you lived in apartments all this time? You could have had enough money to buy a house or paid off a house. And I said, yeah, I guess you're right. But I didn't know if I was going to get married or not. It was like in my case that my life was kind of on hold until I got married. And when you're not having success, you don't see yourself having success. That's why you try different things like the Philippines. And I know guys that have found wives in other countries. So, my channel is Love Beyond the Sea. Mostly it's about love and how to love that woman that you marry, wherever she's from. And so I wish more people would communicate and ask questions. I do have a email that I'm trying to put, or yeah, I'm trying to put that on the uh, thumbnails, but it should be in the about section. Love Beyond the Sea for you at gmail.com. And instead of four, it's the number four. Love Beyond the Sea for you at gmail.com. And or you can, when I do the occasional live stream, you can leave a comment, ask a question. I think Sky's waiting for mommy to come home, but that's going to be another hour and 40 minutes. She's pretty good with the time, though, of when things happen and good at reading the signs, when you're going to leave. And this dog is so, just can't live without us. I mean, she goes everywhere. She's one of those clingy dogs. You can't go anywhere. You go in the bathroom to do your thing, and she's sitting right next to you by the shower, happy as can be. She just she's everywhere we are. Cockapoo, Cocker Spaniel, Poodle mix. We love her very much. My wife wants her to have babies here, which we can do after the third menstruation. That's with dogs. That's how you do it. That will change our life too. We're both kind of looking forward to that and celebrating Sky's first birthday coming up next month. So it's worked for me. If you want to know how or what I've done to try to help us have a successful relationship, you can just join, subscribe. Christian Filipina, there are lots of playlists, but there's a lot of videos too, amassing, and I've got hundreds more that I could do, different titles. And I see some now and then that I thought, okay, well, let's make this one. And so I'm not going to impress anybody with technical wizardry here. I'm just here to share my experience before it's too late for me, to encourage other men to get married and to go to the Philippines. It's far away, but if you find an English speaking person, hopefully conservative woman, um, won't give you as much trouble as others. And we're still married, and if I'm still doing these live streams and have a channel 5 or 10 years from now, hopefully we still are, and there's even more videos to watch, and I have more things to share with you. Obviously, what I know after 5 years is a lot more than I knew at the start, and what I know now, coming up on 10 years through our experiences, is a lot more than I knew 5 years into it. One thing I can say: be patient. Once you identify a Filipino, once you get married, she's finally with you. As anything else, be patient with each other. You will have a lot of times where there's disagreements over petty things and occasionally over big things. And it can be tough when you're together, when you're just online. That's the easy part. I call it the minor leagues compared to the major leagues of marriage or the exhibition season, because there's no commitment. It's not real serious until you get in front of people, exchange rings and vows, and you're married, and you go through paperwork that you're married, and well, then it's serious. And to me, that's where the fun is. And that's where the challenges are, but that's where the growth is, where there is commitment. Oh, Matt, I don't have an accent, I don't think. I'm here in Nebraska. Nebraskans actually are known for not having an accent. A lot of the people you see, like in New York and Los Angeles, on the newscasters, anchor people, they're from the Midwest because they don't have accents. And so supposedly they're easier for everybody to understand when they're talking. So, Nebraska. Paz, welcome to the live stream tonight. I go date in Asia when I'm bored too. So, is Date in Asia a free site? Is it a pay site? Has it always been a pay site? Go ahead and share your experiences with me if you're happy with it. If it's tough to wade through a lot of scammers to find somebody good to talk to, I mean, what have your experiences been? It's kind of fun for me to look back and talk about that since I've already done that and went through that process of trying to find somebody online, and you get good choices, and so you put everything down on paper and you're evaluating certain um, what's the word, not technical but logistical aspects of the things you know about them, but then you're weighing in your heart and just how do you really feel about them? Are you clicking with that person? And it can get agonizing if you've got multiple ones to choose from, to say this is the one I'm going to take the dive after, and ask them to marry me. Okay, it's free and you're married. How long ago was that? And once in a while, yeah, I would look back after I was married on Christian Filipina, not because I was looking around, but two reasons. One, if there was other guys there, I wanted to help them, and they also had a, a message board at the time, which they don't now, because people took advantage of it and started setting up relationships outside of the board, and I mean the website, the business, and so they unfortunately had to get rid of that. But once in a while, I reminisce and I go back there and I check out the features and say, yeah, I remember that. And I remember that. I'm just very, very sentimental. So I've done that before. And my wife, I remember, would say, you're married now. Why are you looking on Christian Filipina? So I just try to say to her what I just said to you. And she's at work. She works in another nearby city. She'll be back at 11:30. Right now it's 9:58, and I'm happy to be married. now after 10 years, I can't imagine being single. I haven't even thought about what it was like to be single. Really haven't reminisced about that because it was very difficult for me because I wanted to get married. I thought, I'm never going to get married. Am I going to get too old to get married and then I won't even want to be married? Nobody will want to marry me. Won't be worth it at that time. Just remember, time is not on your side. I know some guys, I do have um, a number of men that I communicate with, and some are in their 30s. One was in his 20s. The other's probably 40s, 50s. And, some are still looking for Filipinas. Some are married to Filipinas. Some are waiting for their Filipina to arrive. Married for, oh, five years. Congratulations. Pause. Congratulations, 5 years of marriage. And you are in Texas. Hopefully feeling safe now over there in Texas. Never been to Texas. Um, that's a place I wouldn't mind going to. There would have to be something for us to see there. I don't think we're going to hop in the car and drive there uh, without a plan. Our next trip is actually Branson, Missouri. Again, we've been there like 4 or 5 times in the 9 years that she's been here. 10 years we've been married. So we've got tickets in a hotel for April to see some of our favorites, but then some new things. And so my wife really likes Branson. She said, "I hope this place never goes away." Very patriotic place, very Christian place, unabashedly, patriotic and good for the whole family to go to. And my wife likes it, and I like it too. So we like to go. Those theatrical plays are second to none. They're worth every penny. Like 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. You might have to pay $150 or 200 for it for the two of you, but it's well worth it. Really awesome. I like it as much as I do sports now. Matt, you are from Michigan. Oh, you're in Cebu at the moment, where it must be a nice round noon. Noon in Cebu, is that right? 14-hour time zone. Uh, you're in the Eastern time zone. Here in the Central time zone, we're an hour off of you. So I think it's 14-hour time zone difference. Michigan and Texas. I am here in Nebraska, where surprisingly there are other Philam couples and Filipino couples. When I married my wife, I thought, okay, what's next? Everything was just what's next. I didn't have a big drawn out plan. It was just, what do I got to do next? Got to communicate, sign up, communicate with somebody, decide on somebody, get a webcam, talk to somebody, get a relationship going with somebody, propose to somebody, find out how to get to the Philippines. Almost didn't get on my flight, never done that before. There's some things I need to know. And now that I'm back, well, now what do I got to do? What do we got to do for to wrap up that spousal visa and um, uh, what do they call it, green card? And then she gets here. Well, we got to get a social security number, and then what are we going to do? So one of the things was I got to find some Filipina, at least one good Filipina she could talk to, just so she's not doesn't feel really lonely, separated from where she's from, thousands of miles away. And so my pastor said, "Yeah, I know this couple. He's American, she's Filipina, and they met here in America." And so when my wife got here, we went out for dinner with their kids, and it was really nice. And they took us to their house, started watching some, DVDs. And so that was really nice. That was way back when. I met another Philam couple, Um, that was that couple I told you got married, like met each other in the late '80s, early '90s. Also in church last Sunday, we met a Filipino couple. They're both from the Philippines, Luzon, and they had like four little tiny children. I told you probably know my wife loves children, so they sat to our left, and my wife's always there saying hi to the girl, and it was so adorable. And so hopefully, they're a couple here after 10 years almost of marriage that we can get to know sometime. So that's important. Also, you don't have to decide that right now, but once you're married, it's okay. Be nice if we had some socializing, somebody to do some socializing with. Sometimes other Filipinos can be a bad influence. So I'm glad you said that, Matt. Yep, sometimes some other Filipinos can be a bad influence. That's why when I met my wife and we were in an apartment at the time, I said, if you want to move to, like, if we find a Filipino community here, I don't know if there was one, we can consider moving there. And she shut that down right away. I don't want to do that. It's just going to be comparing, you know, um, and competition, trying to outdo the other person, comparing, and that's kind of like American too, really. I mean, comparing their yards, comparing their cars, comparing their jobs, comparing their husbands, comparing their houses. And also, probably, Matt, what you're getting at is more along the lines of maybe trying to get into the Filipina's head and saying, "Are you sure you made the right decision? You married this guy that's a lot older than you are, and how do you think that's going to be in the future? Is he going to be able to give you kids? Um, you should you should dump him and find somebody younger." I mean, does this happen? Yes, of course. Of course it happens. It's not shouldn't be too terribly surprising. I mean, it shouldn't happen, but it does. And pause if you're asking about my wife. Yeah, she's been a citizen now for about 3 years. Very happy to be an American citizen. She didn't want to be at first because she didn't want to renounce her Philippine citizenship because it just felt really weird to her. And it would feel weird to me. Would I like to give up my U.S. citizenship, even though I know, well, you can always fly over to that place and get it back? I would feel uncomfortable. But eventually she did. So she's got a Filipino passport where you can go to some places easier than with the U.S. passport. And then, of course, the U.S. passport where you can go to many places that you really find it difficult with a Philippines passport. So she's got them both. So we've hit, a lot of milestones. Your first year together, you buy a house together. 5 years coming up on 10 years in May. Um, Green card, citizenship, and so we're still together. It's not automatic. You don't just go to date in Asia, cherry blossoms, or Christian Filipina, and pick somebody else out, like ordering a product from Amazon. Um, that there are good reviews on. It all depends on who you choose to marry and how dedicated you are to her. Yeah, pause. Thank you. She's a citizen. I mean, she doesn't make a big deal out of it. My wife doesn't really, she's more on the private side. I'm like obviously the exact opposite since I'm doing a live stream here and have a channel with about 1,900 videos. So that's been a challenge. One thing I, of course, do encourage now is for people who are doing what I did to get to know them better, maybe than we did, because I was very anxious to get married. Been alone for so long, 53 going on 93. And we got married. And one of the playlist I have is about questions to ask. Because when I got back here, I realized, okay, there's a lot of questions we could have asked, and we pretty much winged it. I might have wrote down a few questions, but once we started talking, I didn't look at them. But I've got a video on questions you can ask, more ice-breaking questions that you can use. If you're going to take the dive in 25, you're going to be talking to other women, women a lot younger. These questions help you to be comfortable talking about things. They're not serious, okay? They're lighthearted, um, easy to talk about icebreakers. Then I've got another video where it gets a little bit more serious. I don't remember what I titled it, but you'll be able to tell. It's when you're more serious and the questions get a little bit more serious, which is appropriate. And then the third, I'll call it stage, I did a video on questions to ask when you're serious about proposing to her, because then you get down to talking about things, asking and answering questions that maybe are a little uncomfortable, but when you're going to get married, you got to ask those questions. And those are questions I did not ask my wife. We talked for 4 hours a day. I don't even remember what we talked about, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'm still learning about her. I also have a fourth video there about questions to ask your Filipina after you're married. And probably on those videos on YouTube, in the comments section, I probably put in, if I had the room, the questions to ask. For sure, when I had a web page, I had those all, copy and pasted in there, but the web page isn't working anymore, so you'd have to watch the video. But those questions will help you get to know each other, and take that dread out of what do we talk about. Well, you don't want to ask stage 3 questions in stage 1, because you'll chase her off, because the serious questions should be for when you're really serious about her and going to propose, and so on. So take a look at that, or listen to that here in the. I could check here, but I don't want to lose this live stream. You can tell what the playlist is called. It's about questions to ask a Filipina before marriage, or something like that. And so, yeah, it worked for me. I found all of the women that I talked to very easy to talk to. I envisioned, you know, silence, uncomfortable moments, I don't know, embarrassment or whatever. It didn't turn out that way. They were all very easy to talk to. Maybe they've talked to foreigners before and it wasn't a big deal. Maybe that was just their personality. Maybe they were really tickled that some guy from the United States would contact her and want to talk. One of the women I talked to was a nurse, and she was talking to me from the hospital. She showed me her patient, and we were talking while she was there. It's pretty cool. I never had any trouble talking to these women, and some people find it difficult to convince them to go to a webcam. I mean, I thought that was the first thing you'd want to do, is say, "When can I see you on camera?" And then go to camera, and so that worked well for all of us. Um, no trouble at all, and so I hope that that's what I would do if you're got somebody. Go to the webcam, because there are things you can learn like this. Um, that you wouldn't be able to discern from just talking to them, texting to them. Um, you'll, if you see their family, you'll know they've got family. Their family will hear what they're saying and know who they're talking to, and hopefully they'll wave. Hopefully you can even communicate a little bit with their family. I know my mom and my pastor communicated with my wife before I married her, and my aunt was there too, came over just for that special conversation, meet and greet, whatever. And so, yeah, that's a great tool, the webcam. Take advantage of that. Don't be afraid to go to it while it's on my mind. Don't have your place look like a disaster area. Um, don't be wearing a wife beater T-shirt. I mean, look nice. Don't be eating when you're talking to her unless she wants to talk to you during breakfast or dinner. That's one thing we did. My wife would eat her dinner, and then I would be eating breakfast, making breakfast, get up early, start the cooking, get to the computer, talk, go back, stir things up, come back and talk, then get my food ready, drink, sit down, and I would eat, and we continue to talk, and she would have her dinner, and we just reverse the roles in the evening because Midwest time zone, if you have like a 12 or 13-hour time zone, that's very user friendly, I think. So that worked out well for us. So I still encourage people to try that. There's competition now from, and has been, from South Korean men, and just in particular young men, that are now some competition for older foreign guys. I just responded to a, must have been a YouTube or TikTok comment this morning that it's not as easy as it was. If you're reading or hearing people have the opinion, just show up and they'll be flocking you like paparazzi. When you get off the plane or when you go in the mall, everybody will be gawking at you and so on. Well, there's other guys that say it's not that way. I never found it that way. I felt if I was walking around at a distance from my wife at an airport or the mall, and she was walking a little bit further ahead with her family, I never felt like anybody was looking at me. Um, just never did. And in Davao, there's a lot of people there. I think it's 1.5 to 2 million, and not many foreigners. I just didn't see many foreigners there, hardly any, to be honest with you. The most was at the Eden Nature Park. Great place to go. We had our honeymoon there. We go there every year, maybe not to sleep over. Sometimes we do, just because I'm sentimental and I want to go back there and experience that again, like in the middle of a jungle, but it's beautiful, very beautiful. Good food. We've got to do that again. Sometimes I tell myself, look, Bob, you've been to Davao 5 times, and it's 4 flights there, four flights back. It can take, you know, 24 hours. If you can get 24 hours, boy, you're living right. But normally it's like 26 to 30 hours, maybe 32. A flight like 24, 26 hours, you got short layovers because you're going to have 4 flights. You're going to have 3 layovers, I guess, um, and so if you don't have a good 2 or 3 hours, you could miss your flight, especially if you're going through Denver. Denver's always overbooked, and you're running for your life in Denver. So if you can avoid Denver, probably should avoid Denver if you can, because it's packed in so tight. But if you can get short layovers, that helps. The longest layover we had was like planned was like 9 hours. By planned, I mean we had no choice, so we took it. That was tough. That was tough. We did have another 12 hours in Tokyo, so we went somewhere and hired a guy to take us around Tokyo, and I've got videos of that. Rainy day in Tokyo. What a beautiful place that was. And I can't remember if we were on the old side or the new side of Tokyo. I don't remember. Because it was just very rainy and cold. But I'd do that again. Um, that was a 12-hour layover, and the gentleman that we paid $500 to show us around got there early. Our plane was late, a couple hours. Didn't matter to him. He was very pleasant. Took us around public transportation, took us wherever we wanted to go. Extremely friendly guy. We went back to the airport. He could have just dropped us off and said, well, thank you very much. But he went in the airport with, excuse me, with my wife and I, and um, helped us go up to our uh, what do you call it, um, boarding gate. Um, I remember my wife temporarily lost track of her credit card when she was putting in a kiosk, and he stayed and helped looked for us to find it, and my wife found it. And so, he was very impressive. My travel agent recommended him from here, and I would definitely do that again if we go somewhere and we have that much time. See if your travel agent can find somebody you can pay to show you around. It will save you a lot of heartache, and you'll get back to that airport on time to resume your trip. So exciting. So now that I'm 63, I'm thinking, do I really want to do that again? And yeah, when I see pictures of the Philippines or I see some of those old videos, I feel like, yeah, let's try it again. This year, I don't know. Next year is possible. This year, I don't know. My wife doesn't have that much time off to go, so it would have to be very carefully lined up with plant shutdown and stuff like that. Matt says, yeah, lots of airports offer day tours. Well, this was, and that's great if that's the case. That makes it a lot easier. This was just a private guy that my travel agent had his card or had used him before, recommended him. We got in touch, and he said, just tell me the list of things you want to do, and I'll get back with you. And we agreed on a price and met him there. And I think he did that like I don't know if he did it every day or just on the weekends, but he made good money that way. And he wasn't driving around his car; it was all public transportation, so it's a pretty good deal. And he was great. And we thought about maybe Singapore. We might do that for Singapore. We've never been to Singapore. My wife's always wanted to go to Singapore, and they can't be too terribly far from the Philippines. So while you've gone to the trouble to go to the Philippines, Singapore might be a place to go. Getting a lounge pass always works. Well, can you tell me what a lounge pass is, Matt? Because I don't know. I've never heard of a lounge pass before. But it's that first trip for me was brutal. I'd never done it before. I thought the trip from the 14 and a half hour flight from LAX to Manila was never going to end. After a while, I stopped looking at that clock or the plane that shows you how far away you are because I just thought it's like watching a boiling pot. It just takes so long, and so I decided not to look at it. And then one time I kind of sensed some rustling around of the people, and so I got up and I went to the restroom and asked one of the little Filipina travel, what do you call those, flight attendants, stewardesses. Asked her, are we close to landing, ma'am? And oh no, sir, we have 7 hours yet to go. And that's one of the lowest points of my life because I just thought I am going to die before we get there because my back was bothering me. I spent a lot of time standing up. I had an aisle seat, so I'd stand out in the aisle and hold on to the railing up there, um, go back and stand in the back and move around. I didn't bring pain pills. I never even thought of it because I just one thing at a time to go there, and I didn't think about what my back would do, and it was very sore. But it led to my proposal. And I remember her mom before she passed away. She was saying when I left, you ever going to come back here again? And I said, well, to be real honest with you, I don't think so. My back was killing me up here. It seemed like it took forever. And it's been a really exciting, wonderful time to come here and meet you and your city and the people are important to my wife and where she went to school and things like that. But I don't think so. It was just too hard on me. Then then we went again pretty quick, like the next year, and we've been there several other times. So I think each time I've gone, I've learned how to adapt. My wife tells me, if you keep complaining, you're not going to come with me again, or I'm going to go by myself because, you know, Filipinos, I guess, are just more patient than us Westerners. Yeah. So, and then they added TSA in here eventually. And, one guy was grilling me over the sandwich that I had in my bag. We had bought a sandwich probably in that airport. There was only like two choices. So I put the money in, got the sandwich, hadn't even eaten it. Um, so he said, "What? You got anything in the bag? You got any food in the bag?" "Yeah, I got a sandwich." "What kind of meat?" Uh, I don't know. And all of a sudden, you start thinking if you're arousing curiosity or suspicion on their part. One time in the Philippines, I got pulled off to the side. I still don't know what that was all about. And, but nothing happened. But yeah, like my wife says, and she's right, you just have to be patient and get through it. That's part of flying, that's part of traveling nowadays is a TSA. And so I've learned as I've gone multiple times to stop complaining and just try to enjoy the time. On the fifth trip that we made there, I actually fell asleep for the first time in five different times there, probably the 19th and 20th flight. I just couldn't keep my eyes open and I fell asleep. So that's a good sign that I was able to do that. People that can fall asleep on the plane, they got it made. So I'd still like to know what a lounge pass is, if anyone knows. Um, Manila is tough. It's tough. I mean, we have to fly, let's say, to Denver, Omaha to Denver, Denver to LA, and then you got to wait. And I think you want a longer wait there since you're going through customs, where it's different because you're beginning an international flight. And then that massive flight. Then you get to Davao, hot, sticky weather, even at night. And then you gotta, if you haven't already, book a flight. They have multiple flights going out from Davao, and I can never remember if we book it ahead of time or if my wife just gets it when we're there. And you might have to wait a couple hours, and that's an hour and 50 to the Philippines. And by that time, if you're like me, you haven't slept in about 36 hours, and you're excited, and you meet the family. They meet us there in like a truck or a van or something. And then, you can't just go to bed. You got to meet everybody, and everybody's so excited. And it's always been daytime when we got there. So there's lots of excitement, and it takes a while for all that travel and excitement to wear off. But that's just part of it. It may not sound exciting to you. Maybe when you do it, you'll find out that it's better than you thought it was. But it certainly is a test of my patience. One of the reasons we've gone to the Philippines is we do have property there. This is another topic that comes out. I'm not somebody that posts videos on the Philippines, so we don't plan on living there, although we have tossed it around, but I don't think we will. My wife loves it here in America, and she has it good where we live. Population isn't that big. Um, it's not taking your life in your hands, learning to drive, like if you're in New York or maybe Florida, Los Angeles, bigger places. Texas might have some places that she maybe doesn't want to learn how to drive. I don't know. A lot of highways, interstates. So she's had it good. She's adapted exceptionally well over time. But we did build a house over there. We pretty much split that cost: 5 bedroom, three three bath, no, two bath, 5 bedrooms, big hallway, living room. And I have a video there under Just Us that shows us there looking at the land when we had purchased it. Bunch of grass and everything, trees. It had to be cleared out, but we just purchased that before we came back. And I remember my wife asking me, "Hun, can you see a house here?" I said, "No, no, I can't. I just can't imagine there would be a house here." Um, and so they started building it. My wife drew up all the plans on a piece of paper, all the what do you call that? Blueprints or plans, rooms, where they would be, where the bathrooms would be, dimensions, and she did all that. And then we hired people to build it, people from the area, because she wanted to employ them and employ the same people so that you can get it built faster. It might have taken, I don't know, 5, 6 months. I don't know. But her father supervised, and my wife paid them, and we both kind of split the cost on the house before it was all said and done. And then we moved in there, or not moved in, we lived there or stayed there for the first time. I've got another video on that, our first time in what we call the big house. Um, and so, because it's the biggest house that they have, and that's where we stay if we go there, which isn't, you know, we don't spend that much time there, of course, maybe once a year or two. We'll go for 3 weeks. But I have no problem with her family living there. We also built another place. Let's see. Yeah, we built another place. We call that the apartments. There's 3 units next to each other, and I've got a video on that before much was done to it, and then another one after, the work got pretty much done. And so that my wife is renting out those 3 units. Maybe a family member stays in one, I'm not sure. That's just to make some money, so she doesn't have to send it over there. Uh, Support family. And then she bought another house there. Uh, Family member was living in and renovated it. Pretty much ended up tearing it down and starting it over again. So she's got 3 properties. Yes, they're all in her name, and that doesn't bother me at all because she helped pay for it. Wasn't cheap, of course. And we got a couple other lands, a big land and a small land that she can either keep in the family or she can sell it someday. And I don't see us putting any more money in the Philippines. Uh, that was early on, and I don't think we have to do that anymore. So, yeah, I would like to go to the Philippines again. My life changed completely when I went there, and hopefully, I wish we had 200 people or 1,000, watching tonight, because I know not many people will watch it later that will say, well, to themselves, I'm not sure I'm going to find a good wife here. And you might not find a good wife in the Philippines either. I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. Look for a good woman. Look for somebody that wants to get married. I think they are loyal. That's why they don't want you dating anybody else, because they consider it cheating. If you're just dating them, you say, well, I know this other Filipina too, and well, they think to them that's just cheating and it's terrible and you can't be trusted. So just get used to that. That's why when my wife wanted to just focus on me, I guess you could say we went steady right away before we even knew each other, but it allowed us to get married really fast. And I don't recommend that to other people unless you're really sure you know what you're looking for and you're 1000% dedicated to it. One thing that I wish I had known that I didn't think to ask was, are you a night person or are you a day person? Because I had always worked first shift, get up 4:30, 5 o'clock, no problem getting up, and then go to bed when I was single, like 9 o'clock. I really insist on 8 hours because I had physical jobs. And I wanted to go to the gym. And so I hurried, I mean, ran to bed some nights so I could get 8 hours. And I slept well, I thought. I have nightmares. I had one last night. I always have nightmares. I've had them for 50 some years, and that's another story. But um, she doesn't like to get up early. So we spent a long time where I had to adjust to getting up at 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, noon, about 7 hours later than my body was used to and my brain is used to. That was hard. And I did that for her because one of us had to adjust. And so it was tough for a while. And now I'm not working, so it's easier. Now we pretty much get up around 8:30, 9 o'clock. It's kind of a compromise, but that's only because of the dog. I got to take her out in the morning so she doesn't poop or pee inside, which she still does. Trying to get her trained. But it's nice to get up early again after all these years of having to get up so much later than I want to. So you just hang in there and maybe things change. Hi, sweetheart, precious. Um, how long have you been dating before marriage? With my wife, it was 54 days. 54 days. I proposed on day 18, married her on day 54, less than 8 weeks. And I knew on day 12 that I was probably going to propose to her because I typed an email to my pastor saying, it's going to sound crazy, but it's only been 12 days, but I think this might be the person I'm going to propose to. And he was always supportive because he wanted to help me get married. And so we did file that letter because it has pertinent information. Like I said earlier, I put in the petition, our first chat, which has the date and our conversation that we actually met online. And I also included that letter to my pastor saying, look, I've known her, only 12 days. They can always check the dates if the embassy wants to, if they suspect anything with such a quick marriage and the age gap. But my pastor even gave them his card and said, here, I've known Bob for a long time. And uh, he's kept me informed of his relationship with her. And we plan on continuing to meet and talk about that after he gets married. And so that's just something, I don't know if it helped or not, but it certainly can help. And pertinent pictures, pertinent information, also a screenshot of when I actually proposed to her. We put that in there too. So, including the online dating, 54 days. March 17th, I think, was our first. Um, um, it might have been a texting session. I don't know if I might have got the uh, webcam the next day, but that was like March 17th. And then April 4th, I proposed to her. She was surprised. And it was 18 days, but it felt like it'd been 3 or 4 months. I didn't know it was 18 days. I didn't set out to propose to her and get married that fast. It was just one thing at a time without any time frames, constraints, restrictions, or goals. And so by day 18, I thought, what am I waiting for? And so I asked her to marry me. One of the things that I remember when I went to bed that night before was we were having a chat, and she said something like, I don't have money, but I have my integrity or dignity, something like that. And when she said that, that was the first time that I guess you could say, developed feelings for her. I don't know how else to describe it. But I thought, you know what? I want to marry somebody with integrity. I never cared if they had money. Most of them don't. I didn't care if she went to college. A lot of them do, some of them don't. I just wanted somebody that, had good character that I was attracted to. And so, on day 18, I said, I'm kind of starting to have feelings for you. And I really liked that comment. And I thought, what would I learn if I dated? I mean, we continue, I guess you call it dating, it's for another 3 months on top of those 18 days. Is that going to change my mind? Am I going to learn some red flags? I figured by that time, talking 4 hours a day and 7 hours a day on weekends, when I wasn't working, that I figured I knew as much as I needed to know. I don't think you need to know everything, because if you decide you got to know everything, you never will. And if you're going to look for the perfect Filipina, you never will find her. And so, like I always say, be realistic. I would not recommend getting married that fast, although I know some people that have. My wife's English was very good. She learns fast. Like I said about an hour ago, she learned Spanish in 1 year. When she was 35, she started learning Spanish, and by 36, she's fluent in Spanish. So she's very smart, very bright, brighter than I am, very determined, hardworking woman, um, caring and compassionate for others, which I liked. You know, her friends told me that she would give them the shirt off their back. Now, that's an American phrase. I don't know if that's exactly the terminology they use, but basically, they told me she would do anything to help a friend. And I thought, you know what? That's a good. I filed that away up here. Of course, I was already, committed to marrying her, but I thought, well, that's good, because I don't want someone that's selfish. And she's helped people here, given money to people here in where we live, and most of them have not paid her back like they were supposed to. And you see that in life, and yeah, it's discouraging, but I still encourage her to help people that need help that she wants to help, because I want her to be generous because she's making excellent money. I want her to invest, save money as much as she can in her 401k. And, obviously I want to give her mine, money when I die. Maybe she can retire early, but, I think she wants to live here. Depends how it goes. But yeah, only 54 days we got married, and it was fast. I don't regret it. I mean, honestly, what else could I have learned? I think the most that you learn, hi baby, comes when you're living together in marriage. Sky is better to look at than I am. Sweetie, Sky, hi precious. Um, Isa shaved her. Now she looks like a poodle. Kind of, my mom and I kind of like her, all that fur there. So they'll probably let that grow back. She's 12 months old almost. Um, so you got to go through that evaluation process, which probably isn't fun, but don't just look for the sexiest and the prettiest and the thinnest. You can probably find women like that in the Philippines, but that doesn't mean that they like you. That doesn't mean they're going to be committed to you. That doesn't mean they're going to want to stay in your country. You just never know. That's the thing about this. I don't say it's bad. It's just reality. There are no guarantees. So you want to make the best decision you can. I'd like to think my channel, Love Beyond the Sea, is to help you think through the things. Just look at the videos and the titles. Um, I've got a list of all of the titles in one of the spreadsheets. It's very long, and I've got a lot more, a couple hundred to put in there still, that you can find something that can say, yeah, okay, this guy's honest and transparent and realistic. And if you want to have a successful relationship, I'll just put my 2 cents out there. And I think my channel can help. Paz says my story is kind of the same. 3 months of chat dating. Paz, you're a woman. Then he proposed on the second day we met. Second day you met. Okay. So you met for the first time, and then the second day he probably surprised you, Pause, and said, would you marry me? Is that the way it went? He probably then had a really good idea in those 3 months. And I assume he wasn't talking to other women, and so he's able to make the most of his time with you, and flew out there. Second day we met. Yeah. How long, if you don't mind, there's no right or wrong answer here, but how long did it take for your husband to go visit you? meet you, I guess you could call it. I met my wife right away because we got married so fast. I think that was April 25th was my day at the embassy appointment. So probably the 24th, March 17th, met her online. April 24th, I met her. Um, Fortunately, it was early enough in the year I hadn't used much or any vacation, and I spent a month there, 28 days. I think at the time, if you stayed more than 30, you'd have to get an extension, and I needed to be back at work. So that's what we did. And I like it. I like to hear when guys are serious and they don't, play these Filipinas and take a long time, 4 years. I've had women on this channel say, "Yeah, my boyfriend, I've known him 4 or 5 years, and he loves me so much, and he's going to meet me one of these days." And not likely. If it's been that long, these women put their life on hold, waiting for these guys to propose to them and marry them, and it's just not right. In fact, when I got this ring over at Hellsberg's Jewelry, the lady that sold it to me, when I told her, I'm just getting married for the first time, just met this woman, a number of weeks ago. And she said, "Well, that's great." She said, I just broke up with my boyfriend of 5 years, 5 years, and he never proposed to her. And so that does happen. And if you're serious, you can find someone to marry. You can probably find her in other countries as well. But you have to be serious. And serious does not mean desperate, throw all caution to the wind, reckless abandon. That's not what serious is. Serious means I want to get married. I intend to get married. Um, Other people have these channels and they've gotten married to women from the Philippines. I want to do that too. Ask good questions, look in the right places. In my videos on questions asked can be very, very helpful, make you comfortable to ask those questions. And one day, like me, you may be saying we're coming up soon on 10 months of marriage. Every year, I've written her a birthday card and an anniversary card. Hopefully, she has kept them all. Even if things weren't going great, I still would write her a card because consistency is the key. Consistent behavior where you make the impression to her that, no matter what, you're there for her. And if you show that type of dedication and devotion, I'd like to think there's a good chance she's going to do the same for you. Paul says we started dating February 2019. We met in May of 2019, so that was quick. And then you arrived in the United States in March. So that's like at 10 months. Oh, okay, fiance visa, and you got married in May. Same date he proposed on. Well, that's pretty cool. That's great. That's great to hear. Last week, one of the men that was leaving comments got married to his Filipina, and they have the same anniversary we do, May 10th. That's great, that your life changed so soon. You probably didn't expect that. A lot of foreigners aren't really serious about marriage, but there are some that are. I don't think this channel is going to appeal to men who aren't serious about marriage to a Filipina. There are many channels that, it's more of the I don't know, playboy lifestyle. Go from one woman to another, and that's just not my thing here. But if you're serious about it, you can ask me questions. You can, of course, leave comments on any video. If you find me on TikTok, you can direct message me there, which is an easy way to communicate. since I have all the messages in order, so I can always scroll back to know who I'm talking to and what we've been talking about and so on. Leave comments here, send me an email at lovebeyondthesea4you@gmail.com. Should be in the about section, or I think they might have changed the name of it since then, since I started the channel. But yeah, there's information there about how to contact me. And hopefully you're serious about maybe taking the dive in 25. I know some men are still considering that. I like to talk to as many as I can and let them ask me questions that they might not want to ask their girlfriend, fiance, or even wife. I think I can be of help to people who have brought their wife over to the United States um, with people telling them it's never going to work. How do you deal with your family members that are opposed to it? Co-workers that are going to say things, people staring and talking behind your back. Those are things, we talk about on the channel. Anything and everything I can think of. I try to make a video about that. And so there's way more than can be consumed in a short amount of time. But, if you subscribe, there's lots of videos to look at. And if you want me to make a video about something, you can ask me if I haven't done that already. I am able to, in the comments section, link to a video that I have made and say, here, I've talked about that subject here. Like, I know there's one person here on YouTube that is dead set against interracial marriage. And so, I was able to send him some links on that in my video on interracial marriage and why I think it's acceptable, more than acceptable. It's as good as any other uh, nationality. There's nothing wrong with it. As long as they're on this planet, um, they're fair game to marry. Staying together will come down to, good amount of commonality. And there will always be differences. You have to make sure the differences aren't going to kill you. And that there's enough commonality. Of course, once you're married, you'll want to determine things that you'll have on in common going forward. You'll have to think of some things, but that's part of the fun. Is okay. We probably don't have a lot in common. Where can we go? What can our favorite places be? Our favorite things to do, favorite restaurants, people to get together with. My wife and I like Branson. She likes Branson. I never had been there before, so it was an experience. We both went not knowing what to expect. And now I've just planned our trip for April, hotel and all the events. We'll hit Silver Dollar City on that Saturday. And I'm excited about that. Eventually, we're going to see about every event. I don't know what we're going to do after that. But we've been to Mount Rushmore. My wife wanted to go there. It's not terribly far away, about as far as Branson. And went to meet somebody in Rapid City while we were there. We've been in Kansas City briefly, Minnesota, probably some other places I missed. There's a town here of population 1 that my wife wanted to go to, so we did. And then we drove back. It was like 3-hour drive. And then we went back again when we went to South Dakota because it was on the way. And I did a video, a short video about that. And it's on the channel. And in the Just Us playlist, my wife wanted to bring her a little token from the Philippines. She likes to do that. Co-workers, if we go to the Philippines or Japan or anywhere, Branson, she likes to bring these little knickknacks or souvenirs and give them to friends and co-workers. She's my wife's a very wonderful woman. For a while, she was giving people rides home. She saw workers walking home in the snow at midnight, 1 a.m, and she said, "Hey, hop in. Let me give you a ride." So she was giving people rides home because she didn't want them freezing outside. And that's the type of person she is. Of course, I tell her, be real careful. Make sure you know these people well enough. And she's been very, very outstanding to me. We have to grow to love each other. I'm probably the only person out there that says the love can come when you get married. The love can come after you're married, because when people say, "Oh, she loves me," or "I love her," how do you know that? Love has to stand the test of time. And Filipinas will say, and Paz would know this more than I would, but I think Filipinas sometimes say, "I love you," just to, it may not be sincere, but maybe they're saying, "I like you a lot," or "I want to love you someday," or "I hope we can have a relationship." But the word love can really make a man's mind go in weird places. And when you hear it too soon, that's a red flag, in my opinion. Now, red flag doesn't mean it's game over. It just means it's something to investigate a little bit. And saying "I love you" is, well, that's something we all want to hear, don't we? I mean, I was 53, been alone for Guinness Book of World Records time, without a girlfriend, and you know, if somebody were to say "I love you," I would be like, "Wow, that's it. I got to marry this person because they said they love me." Well, do they really, or are they just saying that? I think, my wife and I determined not to say we loved each other until I proposed to her, because then we were just, days away from getting married. That's why I went there in 2015, was to marry her, propose to her in person, give her the ring, and get ready for a wedding. And that's what we did. So I want my wife to know that when I say "I love you," that means we've been through some difficulties, like any couple, especially these Phil-Am couples, and I'm still here. I'm still your best supporter and friend, and always will be. And my love means something. It's not feelings. First time, like I said earlier, I had feelings for her was when she said, "I don't have money, but I have my integrity." Wow, that was a powerful punch right there. And she just said it casually, and I thought, oh, I couldn't forget about it. That's what I want. I want to love somebody with integrity. So, um, just talking here, I wish we had lots of questions and lots of comments, and maybe I need to do more live streams. I used to, and then they just fell off, and I didn't feel like there was any point in doing them anymore. So I just kept making videos. Yeah, so you are in the United States. So pause. I need to scroll up here and see if you're the one in Texas or Michigan. Oh, Matt's from Michigan. So you're living in Texas? What city are you in Texas? Paul says the only thing we have in common was love of food for a while, but lately politics and history. Yeah, commonalities are not going to be very plentiful. Why would they be? Especially if you've got a sizable age difference and she's thousands of miles away. Pause. The one commonality, or I'd say the very first commonality I noticed with my wife, was the music of the Philippines. Okay, south of Dallas, Fort Worth. Um, Never been to Dallas. I certainly would like to see what it's like one day. Um, but the music, she would be singing to herself Bee Gees songs. And I thought, well, that was odd because the Bee Gees were big when I was in high school. And what is she doing? Why would she even know any Bee Gees songs? I just couldn't believe it. Then when I went to the Philippines that first time, All I can hear is 70s music. There's Lobo songs. If you're older, you know who Lobo is, maybe. There's Billy Joel, um, Air Supply. I wonder if they're more in the 80s or 70s. I don't know. A long time ago, but that's all they seem to play there. If you hear anything else, it's because somebody has a karaoke machine and they're playing uh, rap or something. Otherwise, a lot of the songs are from the 70s. A lot of the songs are love songs. And that was the first thing I thought, well, you know what? I dig 70s music. I grew up on that, some 60s music even. And, um, and so we could relate to that. We liked some of the same songs, believe it or not. And, if you go to the Philippines, you'll be hearing Bee Gees, I'm sure, somewhere in the malls. Music playing everywhere. I like that. When I was growing up, you did hear more music when you were walking around. These days, no, not so much. But in the Philippines, yeah, music, karaoke, which is another thing. Again, I hadn't done karaoke, and we were both kind of shy. But we worked our way up to doing karaoke in the Philippines, and my wife has a karaoke machine. I don't think you can see it um, here, and she was just singing karaoke the other day, and we did that a few weeks before. We hadn't done it for a year or two, but we that was something we can do and enjoy. She seems to play the same songs all the time, which is kind of interesting because I'm kind of like that too. I have songs that mean something to me or that just do something to me. And so I listen to those songs a lot. At the gym, um, might put on a hard rock album and just play 10, 12 minutes of it that I really like and just repeat it over and over and over and over because that's what I want to listen to. So love of food, yeah, my wife and I don't really like the same foods. I never really bought into the love of Filipino food because I grew up just eating the same things that I liked. Try to eat healthy. Politics and history, see, that's good. But lately, so you're learning, and probably your husband was more into politics and history, and you've been talking to him about that, and that's good. I've told my wife, now that you're here in this country, you should learn about what's going on in this country. Watch the news, local news. Like if something big happens here locally, like something starts on fire or, whatever, I'll send her a link, say, hey, this isn't too far from us, or you remember this place. Um, Same thing with world news, not just United States news, world news. I was never interested in that, before. Now I am more, and I'd like her to be more informed on what's going on in the world. And so that's good. I think you can develop commonality. These trips we've taken, I didn't want to travel by myself. That'd be the most depressing thing I could do. But now that I have a wife, guess what? We can decide together. Where would you like to go? And I'm usually amenable to that. The only thing I've said no on is long, long, long drives to um, Yellowstone. Yellowstone encompasses a lot of territory, and I don't particularly like spending a lot of time in the car. It took a lot to convince me to go 6.5 hours to Branson. Yellowstone, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to do that one. But we go places we've never been before. We have that in common. We take pictures, we have memories, we have conversations. My wife can tell her coworkers and friends, yeah, we went to Tokyo. Maybe we go to Singapore someday, or we went to this or that place in the Philippines that she'd never been before. And so that's the fun part. Just marry somebody with a good solid foundation, and they don't have to have everything on your list. I think the shorter the list, the faster you're going to be able to get married. In other words, the less picky one is, the more likely they are to find somebody that's good enough. I've even said before, don't look for, you know, Miss Right, look for Miss Good Enough. If you look for Miss Good Enough, you have a better chance to get married, and you may develop a tremendous relationship over time if you look for Miss Good Enough. My wife is good enough for me. Mine's that Alabama song, close enough to perfect for me. So yeah, don't look for somebody that's perfect, because she's thinking I didn't find somebody that's perfect, and so neither one of you are perfect. And you'll know more about each other once you're married. Pause. You're going to learn more about your husband, or you already have, since you've been married and living under the same roof, having to make decisions together instead of independently. That can cause some frictions. What do we do with our money? One person is often good with money, more frugal than another person. What do we do for our entertainment, our time? When are we getting up and going to bed? I don't like going to bed with my wife not in bed, because I can't sleep until she's with me. I just can't. Something in me just keeps me up until she comes home and gets in bed. Then I can sleep. Otherwise, I just can't do it. And another good thing marrying her is I've had nightmares for many decades. I had one last night, and the dog woke me up last night. Thankfully, I'm sure my wife helped too. When they start hearing me making noises and shifting around, kicking around, they know I'm not. I'm having a very unpleasant dream. And so the dog was there, woke me up and licked my face. My wife pushed me and woke me up. That helps, you know, to have somebody around. But even if I didn't have that, I couldn't sleep until she's with me. I just can't. One thing, I don't want to get scared to death when she crawls in bed at night, especially when I'm prone to nightmares. Um, but yeah, we've got a system down now. Go to bed around 1:30, get up about 8:30. By and large, that's our schedule. It's not what I would want. She'd probably like to stay up a little bit later. I'd probably like to go to bed a little earlier, but the discrepancy isn't as bad as it used to be, or as wide as it used to be. So we find out about her. You know, what are her daily habits? Are you a morning person or a night person? Because that can drive you crazy if you're different in that particular way. That's hard to adapt to. It's been very difficult for me to adapt to. I'm more regular and consistent, and I want to get up at the same time, go to bed at the same time, eat the same things at the same time, do the same things. It's just, I'm kind of regimented, and my wife isn't, but she's very organized, very hardworking. She keeps a great house. She loves doing yard work, despite all the hours she works. She loves getting out in the yard and cutting the grass and uh, putting in flowers. And she'd love to have a garden here. Um, the garage is really nice looking now. She organized that. Storage room. We're going to be pulling out this carpet, thanks to Sky. And this place is like 18 years old, townhouse. And then we're going to be putting in vinyl flooring sometime in April. Probably get that done right before we go to Branson. And put it everywhere upstairs and downstairs except for the bedrooms, um, or anywhere where there is tile or linoleum. So it's going to be a lot, and that'll be good. And then we'll think about getting a fence in. They're going to come Thursday, see what a fence would cost. Neighbors just put one up, so that should help us a little bit. Now that we have the dog, we love to take dog Sky out to run around and play, but we can't do that because I know she's going to run out in the street, and we can't lose this dog. Right now, she's waiting for my wife to come home, and in about half an hour, she'll go absolutely bonkers when Isa comes in. But Sky is very much attached to us. If I go out to get the mail, she acts like I've been gone for 2 weeks. If I take the garbage out, come back in, she's acting like I've been gone for weeks. That's just Sky. And she likes to play. She likes to walk, and she's very important to us. Never would have thought I would like a dog. Pause. I assume you like dogs because you have a dog in your avatar there. Um, I'm a big dog fan now. I never was before, but I didn't have anything to compare it to. Never had a dog before. My wife never had a dog before. So there you go. There's another thing you can make in common that is new to each of you. It could be a pet. It could be entertainment. But you should always be trying to think of things to help nurture your relationship, things you can do for fun that you have in common. Yeah, I had to make a fence for our dog. The fences, I think, around our area, I think they generally go for $4,000 or $5,000. Put up those nice vinyl white fences. Um, I'm expecting it's going to. I'm kind of in my mind thinking it's going to be about $5,000. We'll see, but I think we need a fence. Isa wants Sky to have puppies and keep one, and keep a girl, and sell the others. Um, so we need a fence that I guess a little puppy isn't going to escape through. So maybe it does have to be a solid fence. I'd like a fence where you can see through it a little bit, not bars, but just they have vinyl fences where you got some space. Um, Otherwise, I feel like we're just putting a fort around the house. Um, but whatever we have to do, we'll think of something for Sky. Have to be good to her. So unfortunately, Sky will only live about 10 to 12 years. And then I'm sure my wife will get another one, but we want her to have puppies. So and that's still probably have to get another dog someday. But we'll see. That's just another thing to do in common. Try to find something, not necessarily routines, but just things you can go to that you can develop and say, we have in common now this we didn't have in common before. So again, I don't think it's mandatory to have a million things in common before you marry someone from another country, but it is mandatory to look for things in common. And of course, for an older foreigner, he might be less inclined to want to try new things, like me. But for the good of the marriage, you have to say, okay, hon, okay, let's try that. Almost every time I end up saying, wow, that was great. I wish I had done that sooner. And having a wife can help you do that. You grow, you stretch yourself just by being together. I mean, you'll either become a less selfish and more forgiving person, or you will end up not being married. And so there's a lot of necessary give and take, which results in personal growth, which can be difficult going through, but it's always a good thing after you have. And so again, in these live streams, I think it's just sitting here. My back has some trouble sometimes. I just get dizzy when I'm sitting here a long time. I think I need to move around. So I'm going to be ending this soon, unless there are any more questions or comments about life with a Filipina, dating. If you're going to go to the Philippines, you got travel, plane tickets, you got expense, hotel to stay in, use different food. Um, it's something to think about. You don't have to limit your choices of marriage to your own zip code, like I always done, pretty much. And then it was like, well, maybe in the city, anywhere in the city. Then it was, okay, how about a small town outside? of here. That didn't work for me either. Even with one woman that was a lot older, well, not a lot, like 3 years older than I was when I started looking. That's when I thought, you know what, I may never find anybody if I don't do something radical. So again, Christian Filipina, got married very quickly, and thank God for Christian Filipina. You have to be careful any website you're on, and I think it's worth it to not give up. Don't give up, because then you won't find anybody. Um, as a Christian, the Bible tells me and tells everyone, um, he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. And the word find means not by accident, doesn't mean through just a normal course of life. The word find, as my pastor explained it to me, means go out and look. You went out, you looked, you searched, and you found. It's like finding treasure. You're not going to find treasure accidentally. You got to go out and look for it. Tell my wife no. This has gone a little bit longer than I thought. Treasure, you got to go out and look for it. You got to have a plan. Where is it? Where might I find it? What tools do I need? How much time do I need? How much money do I need to go look for that treasure? You might not find it right away. It may take a while. It may take a few years, a few attempts, a few excavations, and then you might find someone to marry and live with for the rest of your life. Pause. Thank you for your comment. And I'll say hello to my wife. And let me go back up. Matt, thank you for watching tonight. My wife's calling me on the way home from work. So it's another thing we do when she drives home. We talk on the phone. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for joining me here. And please consider subscribing to Love Beyond the Sea.